Hello, Ray Lee with Speedboat Magazine here at the Desert Storm Street Party with the Boats and Bros podcast live with my bro Myrick Coil, and we are with our other bro, Bob Teague of Teague Custom Marine and of Speedboat Magazine testing fame. Hi, Bob.
How you doing? This is a great show here.
Yeah, we've had a busy week.
We have had a busy week. We started out, we had a little dinner.
Right.
And, after that, we tested quite a few boats yesterday morning, on Wednesday morning, and had a good time out there. A little longer than we thought, but it was a good deal.
Right.
And then we also had cruise of the cause yesterday, and my family was involved in that. Putting that event on, it was really great, and then we got through with all that, and another little meeting last night. And here we are on the street party today. This is continuous chaos.
Right. And Myrick, you came all the way from Lake of the Ozarks and brought a couple boats with you. What'd you bring?
E280 and Sensation 32. I have some customers out here with previous boats, but yeah, that's what we're pushing right now. The Sensation 32, which is great boat for Lake Havasu, and then the P280, which is new to our fleet, and we're just really trying to get it out there to show it all.
Well, we saw it up the street. That paint, the baby blue, is gorgeous.
Yeah, so we call it Miami blue, but I was supposed to call it Havasu blue while I'm here, so maybe that boat will stay here. So
that's the goal, right?
Yeah. I call it a Ventador blue.
There you go.
It's what it looks like to me.
Well, I tell you what, Detroit Lions blue, whatever blue you want to call it.
Powder blue.
Yeah, powder blue. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, a lot of boats have that lime green, Kawasaki green in them. I mean, the one across the street, you can see the DCBs down there. It's pretty amazing to see all these boats on display in this the way that this street party works is amazing for the amount of boats you could see in, just whatever this is. What do you think? It's a mile long?
It's all of that, for sure.
You think?
I think it's several miles.
So it's one heck of a show, and this party has grown quite a bit over the years, and we're fortunate they have scorching hot weather,
right?
And so we've had a big crowd here all day long.
Yeah, and it only gets busier after sunset, right?
It gets busier
because temperature goes down. People want to do a little bit of nightlife and then flock to the street here.
Yeah, they hang out here in the thing, and then what happens is that when it's over, then people got a lot of bars along the street here to hang out. They just kind of hang out and stay.
To stumble in and stumble out of.
Yeah, it's a great place, and like I always call the Lake of the Ozarks solar powered. This is probably a little bit of the opposite. I mean, they hide from the sun at times.
Well, I don't know how that would be. I got a solar panel right up here, so it keeps me charged.
Well, I told the guys, let's get the sunshade on the 32 earlier. That helped out a lot.
There you go.
Yeah. So luckily, Myrick, because they're not running the marathon race, you were able to come this year. You weren't able to make it last year, but you're preparing for Cocoa Beach in a couple weeks. What's going on there?
Class 1. So basically nine boat field, which is a lot of competition. Hey, Tubby's here. Tubby's showing up.
Hi, Tubby.
So anyway, 9 boat field, Cocoa Beach, rough water. We're going to go down a week beforehand, do some testing, leave the boat down there, and then come back and beat on it, basically. Yeah, so it's obviously the goal is podium finishes.
Yeah.
Podium on top. That's the goal.
I'd like to say that, but I don't know.
He's not being greedy. Just
I'm not greedy. Just another world championship would be all right.
Just another one.
And Bob, you're no stranger to world championship.
I've got my basket full of those.
One hell of a racing career.
Yeah, right. In several different classes, and of course, a lot of classes that don't exist anymore. And, so when I set a kilo record in Super Cat Light, it could never be beaten because the class isn't there anymore.
Well, that makes for a long-lasting, whatever you call it.
Legacy,
I guess.
Legacy. Yeah. So
I'm gonna have to learn that term, I guess.
Have to learn that term. that's next to being a legend. Like,
Whatever.
so you know, you got all different sort of classes. Of course, I started offshore racing when I raced for 250 miles, and now circle racing basically.
Yeah.
And,
We're pussies compared to what you guys back
that's
then.
true. So yeah, that's back when Ironmen were racers.
Oh,
here we go.
That's softies.
You know what they gave us? We had an e-bird, shark repellent, rations, and a life raft for 2 people, but there was 3 in the boat. So I don't know who got the hang on the outside of it.
Shark repellent.
Shark repellent.
Wow,
Right.
what is shark repellent? I mean, what's it come in a can or?
Yeah, it's whatever. It was something they used to have. And so anyway.
And what do you do? Like put it on like cologne?
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know. I've never had to use
It's like off.
But this is something that's kind of interesting. You know, back in the day when we were racing, you know, mostly naturally aspirated crazy motors, and we're running 3-blade cleavers those days, and on a number 3 Speedmaster or something like that. And if you blew up a motor, you couldn't get the boat on plane with one engine with 3 blades. So we had a thing inside the bulkhead there. We had 2 blades. We put a 2-blade on it and usually destroyed the other engine coming back. So
That's insane.
but that's how you got it back.
That was job security for you, though, being an engine builder.
That's right. Well, you could also, it's something where you get your butt chewed. You know, remember we used to go inside the engine compartment while the boat was running through that hole. In the bulkhead to actually fix things while we're racing. Those were the days until one day we blew up a motor and all the parts came to that hole and hit in the back of the leg and changed that deal.
I tell you what, it's a pretty funny look on a new tech space when I'm like, hey, so I'm going to you go back there, get in the hatch with your flashlight, here's some earmuffs, and we're going to go find that water leak.
Sometimes you got to do that.
Yeah.
You can't run with a hat on.
Yeah.
And you tell a guy, you really like this stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got to prove it right now.
Yeah.
Get in there.
Right.
Yeah. You mean it here? You know, I always like to say that I like to have a guy that likes to be abusive to his engine. To come in the dyno room and stand in the dyno room while we're making a 1,400 horsepower pull.
Yeah, they'll get right out of that dyno
They'll get
room.
right out of that dyno room, because it's frightening.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's a popular opinion, right? The most successful racers are mechanics as well, because you guys can diagnose a problem on the fly, get it running, hopefully before too many people crash and get back into the race.
Yeah, Myrick and I both, and speaking for Myrick right now, has an advantage because he builds the boat, works on the boat, rigs the boat, and races the boat, and understands all the workings of the boat. I have a certain advantage beyond that where I understand every part of it. And so that really is important when you're out there in a marathon type, endurance situation. So there is an advantage for people to run, especially throttle and run the engines to understand what's going on. And,
Right.
And if someone's in the boat that understands that, even though Myrick's driving, not throttling, still there's a lot of communication that goes on in the boat, which we didn't have back in those days, by the way. But
Right.
it was just.
Yeah. Slow down. Yeah.
Thank our first sponsor of the podcast, Adam Serafine, and he has put together a development in Osage Beach, Missouri called Harper's Cove. Myrick, tell us about that.
Yeah, so we actually went over and checked it out the other day. Lots of waterfront lots, a pool house, big, large dock, community dock that, we'll be able to have a lot of boats down there. And I feel that it's going to be a lot of power boaters that fill this place up, because the people that I've hear that are building houses there are all power boaters. So to me, it kind of gives it that guy that wants to have a because there are a lot of lots that are second tier also, but it's that guy that wants to have the lack of maintenance, like a condo kind of feel, come in, just enjoy your time there, go boating, and leave. And that's what I feel that this property is really doing. I know that there's Rusty's building a house there, which, him being, a really good salesman and a really good taker care of his customers.
Yeah.
I'm sure there will be, and I think there already is. I just don't know off the top of my head names of customers that are building houses in there that are power boaters that are gonna, basically fill those docks up with badass boats, and then being really close to Osage Beach on Case Road, and then being really close to where the shootout's going to be, being really close to Performance Boat Center, and that's pretty much the beauty of the logistics of that place. And if you were to go there by water, you go back in the cove past Kellysport, which is a no-wake cove. So those people that want to leave their boat in a slip and not worried about it getting rocked all over the place, even if you don't have a lift, that'll be able to happen. So that's what I mean. I live in a small little cove, nothing like the size they're talking about, but the fact that it's no wake is huge on Lake of the Ozarks, because your friends can come over and tie up their boats to your dock and not worrying about a 55 Sea Ray going by and putting it on top of the dock if it isn't positioned correctly. And I know there's a lot of docks that way around the lake, but you definitely don't run into that issue here at Harper's Cove. And and I really appreciate getting some sponsorship from Harper's Cove.
Yep. Thanks, Adam.
So back to this event. When was your first Desert Storm poker run? How long's it been going? To be honest, I don't even know.
Well, this started out as spring heat, or fall heat, or spring heat
wave.
This is a spring heat wave, and there was also a fall heat wave at that time. And at some point after it, about the time it became Desert Storm, which is associated with the Desert Storm name, this event really started out being associated with promoting military awareness and all that stuff.
Really?
And all the charities and stuff. And my company was the title sponsor of this event for probably 20 years,
right?
And maybe more. And so as time gone on, we're involved in a lot of other charity events as well. And so we stepped back just a little bit, but stayed prominent, and we're focused on the Fishing for a Cause and things like that, the charity portion of this event. And so we also put on, a Big Cat Poker Run, which is up in the Discovery Bay. It's like Big Cat for Lions Club. It's first weekend in August, and a whole bunch of other things that we're involved in. So we stay involved with this because we believe in supporting the charities that have benefited by this. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, so you were probably part of this poker run before I was really even boating.
Yeah, I was actually a part of a lot of things boating that you've been on it a while.
Like the invention of the propeller.
Yeah.
He was Noah's sidekick.
You know what? I remember when we went, oh my God, it's got 4 blades.
Oh, yeah. It's funny. Dave Scott came to the shop the other day, and he had been, back in the day, being a Kilo guy, he had been getting propellers made by Herring, and they were forged propellers, and he actually brought me a set of 3-blade and 4-blade 40 pitch propellers for a number 6 that were custom made and never ran. So I'm excited to put them on a boat, just see how
they still have them.
Yeah, we still have them right now. Yeah,
that's jewelry.
Yeah,
just so you know, when they're forged, they're like $20,000 a piece.
Yeah,
right. So,
I looked on there and they had like the F on them. I'm like, oh, gee,
it's beyond my budget level.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I'm working on a mechanic boat.
Yeah, when it has a C, that's more like the $10,000 ones.
Yeah. Well, so, those of you who know, both Bob and Myrick are test team drivers for Speedboat magazine, and I'm supremely proud to have these guys. They are the best in the industry, and the manufacturers bring us the boats, and you guys go through them with a fine-tooth comb.
Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes it's not pleasant because we got to tell it like it is.
Right.
And but our goal really is, and I brought this program to Speedboat from Powerboat, and we basically kept that same validation program going, and the whole idea is to help the manufacturers get better and find things that they should be thinking about that they're not thinking about, but also not just the installation of rigging and fit finishes up, but also the way the boats perform and the way they're setting them up and everything else. That, you know, between Myrick and I, there's probably nothing in the world that we haven't actually driven. So yeah, and so we can bring that experience to all the boat manufacturers and through Speedboat magazine, and then the people get to read about it, and they can basically use what we write because it's factual how to decide what to buy for a boat.
Yeah, but beyond that, we also help the reader and the consumer help make an educated decision, or at least get a good head start on what their next boat purchase may be.
Right, and of course, you know, we're all of us are kind of in a precarious position because we deal with all the manufacturers, and we're also involved in a certain portion of the business. And you know, Ray has to wear several hats, and we have to wear several hats. But I can promise you this: no matter what we do personally, when Myrick and I are working on the Speedboat team, we are working for Speedboat, and we got that Speedboat hat on.
Yeah, that's right. There's no bias at all.
Yeah.
And one of the things that gets me is when I first started, running boats is the whole fear or not knowing how to particularly run each boat. But over the years, dealing with Bob and dealing with Johnny, and basically, you give me a boat for a couple miles, I'll get you an idea on, how to run the boat. So
yeah, our program is actually structured. We just don't go out and drive the boats. There's a certain thing they have to go through, but it's also developed so that you learn the boat slowly as you go, and you start getting more confident with it and kind of learn its limitations, and then sometimes you try to push it beyond its limitations so you know where those limitations are, and that's part of finding out how good a boat is. We find stuff that is so good it's unbelievable, and then we find stuff that's somewhat frightening. So that's the way it is.
Yeah, catch 22.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Bob, thanks for joining. I know you got to get back up to your booth and shake hands and kiss babies and the whole nine. But
hey, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
My name is not Bob. It's Hey Bob.
It's Hey Bob.
And so if you want to come out here on the street, I'm up the street just above this booth here at Speedboat just a little bit. You can come by and Hey Bob me.
There you go. Hey Bob, thanks for joining us. This has been another episode of the Boats and Pros podcast here live on the Desert Storm Street Party in Lake Havasu City. My bro, Myrick Coil, my bro, Bob Teague.
This podcast is powered by Speedboat magazine. Subscribe now at speedboat.com for 9 power-packed current issues a year direct to your mailbox.